Good morning, comrades. This is Good Morning Comrade, goodmorningcomrade.com. This is being recorded Thursday night, the 10th of June, 2021. We have Robert from the
Hello.
What's going on, Robert?
Things are going on. The kitten we are attempting to put to bed right now. She's sleeping.
We'll bring you up to speed. First off, we have Janelle Jolley on the show too. She is the host of the What Is Left to Do podcast. There you go. What's going on, Janelle?
Hey everybody. Hey Jeff. Hey Robert. It's a pleasure to be here.
Woo!
So Robert, let's bring people up to speed on the kitten update. If you just sort of like go from the beginning a little bit to the short version.
Sure, I'll try to be as quick as possible to bring you up to speed. So, my wife thought she ran over a kitten, so she got out of the car and tried to get it, and then she assumed it took off, and so I actually drove with her to try to look for this kitten and couldn't find it. So due diligence was done. Within a couple hours later, she goes, I think my car is meowing. I think the cat is in the car. Let me see. Can you share my screen, Jeff?
Yeah, I can share a screen.
All right, hold on. Let me find this guy. So I put it on our Twitter. Actually, I put him on the Twitter, and so I'm like, "You're crazy. You're losing your mind. Whatever." I'm kind of tight at the same time. Let me see here. Just find this picture of this dumb cat, which I love this cat when I say dumb cat. But yes, I'm like, "You're crazy. You're losing your mind. Whatever." And then she goes, and then maybe 20 minutes later, she goes, "Robert, this cat is inside the car." And I go, "Okay, let me go look." I still think she's out of her mind. So if you can share that, Jeff.
Yeah, you dropped it in chat. Where'd you drop it?
Oh, shoot. Sorry, I don't know how to do that. We're on Streamlabs or whatever. This is so much pressure. How do I do that? How do I share? Okay, there it is. Share screen.
Oh, go ahead.
Got it. Found it. Share that screen. Oh, I can actually bring that over and have both things up. I have triple monitors now. I know everybody on the show cares about that.
We can't see shit.
I know. It's coming. It's coming. I promise.
Oh, fuck.
1 second. Here it comes. Anyway.
Oh, there it is. Okay, go.
So this cat is in there, right? And we ended up calling the law. We have to call 911 because that's what you have to do in this city. And they send out the animal control person. She's like, "Oh, I can't get him out with what I got. We'll just set a trap, and I don't think he's stuck." And I'm like, "I don't think he's stuck either." So, cat, I go to check the trap in the morning. Trap is sprung. Of course, it's like one of these stray cats. It's just all the time. This cat hangs out with my cat, and I'm just like, "Get out of here."
It's a neighborhood cat.
I just call it Yellow Cat. I'm like, "Oh, Ozzy is my cat." I'm like, "Ozzy's out there with Yellow Cat laying in the sun." But you caught Yellow Cat. And so we ended up going to Home Depot and buying smaller of the same traps and that are used to catch squirrels and stuff like that. I'm like, perfect. This is like the size of a squirrel. It's like 1 pound. And so she's under my neighbor's house. I can hear her meowing. And so I set the trap. My dog starts going crazy an hour later. I go check the trap. Cat's in there. Cat's terrified, just shaking and shivering. We take the cat to the emergency vet. Emergency vet, that cat looks strong. That cat's fine. Just take her to your actual vet in the morning. We do. There's something going on with her back leg. I don't think it's that kitten neurological thing but she doesn't want to put weight on her back leg. That's probably why she couldn't keep up, with the rest of her litter or something. But that's fine. We have a 3-legged dog already. Whatever. It's just one more weirdo.
You just Noah's Ark in that bitch.
I know, right? This cat is just zooming all over, just doing what kittens do, just climbing up the walls and zooming and purring. Not trying to get out, super comfortable. I introduced her to the cat tree today, and she's just all over that cat tree. She just loves the cat tree. And honestly, I've been thinking about this cat all day. I'm in love with this cat, so much. And it's actually kind of soothed my existential dread, because Jeff and I were talking in the last episode about what is society all about? The big question, why are we here? And so my thing is I'm an atheist, and I don't believe there's a God or any kind of spirit or any kind of benevolent thing guiding any of this. Because that's terrifying to me to believe that personally, because I'm like, oh, then that thing that has intelligence somehow has a lot of explaining to do about like why. So what makes more sense to me and is actually like less terrifying is like the world's natural order is chaos and destruction. And we're just like these special creatures that have sentience. And as we know of, there's not too many, besides like other great apes, there's not too many things that have sentience. And so it's like, well, what, since the world is like chaos and destruction, like, and it's just this big galaxy that doesn't care about us. The only thing that matters is like what we find meaning. And the idea of just like this little creature who is just like terrified, running around on the verge of death, and I can scoop it up and say like, this matters. I'm going to take care of this thing and give it a good life. It's like looking into like the abyss, the void that doesn't care about us at all, and saying like, no, this actually matters. And this is why we're here, is to like spreading love and spreading kindness is a revolutionary like resistance act against the universe's very nature.
Hostility to life that the
and it's like as much as, and so we do that as much as we can, and we pass that on to the next generation of sentient beings, and that's how we win. That's how we
Robert, are you fine?
No, not at all. Okay. This is what I think about when I have like this is what I think about when I have 8 hours of work meetings where I'm just sitting there just going,
No, you've been okay. You've been down today. That's what this is. Okay.
That's my rant. I'm not going to talk anymore because you are the guest.
And we do have a guest, and her name is Janelle Jolley. Just go ahead and introduce yourself to the crowd. Say what's going on.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Hello, everyone. My name is Janelle. I had the pleasure of making Jeff's acquaintance a couple days ago when we were on Kenzo the Shibata's show, Meet the Left. I am new to the and here we go. You started talking about a cat. Now I got a cat that's trying to be famous. Hi, would you like to say hello to everyone? Super duper.
Introduce yourself, cat.
Okay, get down, please, darling. This isn't even my cat. I don't even like cats. I'm the host. I'm new to the podcasting world, along with this cat's ass.
Cats are a huge part of the podcasting world. This is not.
This is what I'm learning. I'm not really in it, and I'm not really serious about it until I get a cat, which means I'll never be serious about it because I'm a dog person. But that's fine.
You're just a renegade, right? Like rebelling against the.
Yeah, that's right. I don't want to be a normative podcaster. If I'm the one who has to like break this binary of not being a cat lover, then okay, let me be it. I submit myself as tribute. But I'm the host of a new podcast called What's Left to Do, which is think like StoryCorps for lefties. Every episode we interview a different person who identifies as a leftist or progressive, whichever term you prefer, and I talk to them about their lives and their life stories, and how that kind of how that has unfolded for them to arrive at a leftist politic. And now that they are here, how do you understand the world? How do you understand a way or a possibility to create a better future? In essence, what's left to do now that you're here? So that's me, and I'm traveling now that I'm vaccinated and life is less scary. I'm traveling around all summer to different parts of the United States to talk to lefties all over, because there's what I and you all already know this. What I know to be true is that there's not one region or one story or one background or one way of progressing through life that is emblematic, or that is just for people who consider themselves leftists. Like, we come from all over, have all sorts of backgrounds, religious, not religious, cosmopolitan, rural, salt of the earth upbringing, or like summer was a verb in my house. You know what I mean? Like, there's not one profile of what it is to be left, or what has contributed to someone becoming left. And I think that there's a lot of power in people's stories that can maybe, if I do my job right, help someone else kind of come back from the edge a little bit of, you know, the kind of like just the what all too often, in my opinion, happens is like, you know, we can kind of give into this nihilism because everything, so many things are bad and terrible, and it's just like what is even the point? Like, what is there to do? Shouldn't we just, you know, let the neolibs and the conservatives duke it out?
See, you thought I was high. The cat story makes sense now, doesn't it?
That's what I get for popping off all extra early. You're right. You're super right, Robert. But yeah, it's I'm having just the time of my life getting to talk to people, and you know, that I kind of know casually, or know well, or don't know at all. But you know, I've, you know, followed them as, you know, figures online for years. But it's truly just wonderful to be able to talk to and get to know everyone's story and their why, and why they think they believe what they believe, or, you know, how they ended up changing some belief systems. I don't know. It's fascinating.
I love talking to people about it's like so interesting, because like the more you kind of like, it's not the more you say, but the more you sort of like let them go.
Yes.
They really will sort of like be like, people are very, very open.
Yeah.
When you sort of like give them a place where they feel that they're not going to be judged.
Yeah, that's right. Like, I'm very good at that. I'm sneakily good at that, which is why
I want to ask you in a similar way, like, how do you sort of like define yourself on the sort of like left spectrum, and like how do you get there yourself too?
I don't know that I would try to define myself on a like a linear spectrum. It's kind of
like specific ideas and
sure. I mean, I think generally, just I guess the like kind of umbrella, I can't make my fingers touch, the umbrella of my politic is that, like, you know, the dignity of all human life should not be subordinated to any market or market machination, like
coercion
in the world. Yeah. So I mean, that's just kind of the general umbrella. But my politic, everything, when I'm paying attention or when I'm focused, like everything comes back to like concrete material benefits for working people, because I don't believe that, you know, a line on a chart should dictate whether or not someone eats today, or whether someone is housed, or whether someone is subjected to, you know, egregious labor abuses. So it's concrete material benefits for working people. It's kind of what it all boils down to for me. But I'm also like a Pan-Africanist because I'm extremely Black and I went to Howard. But that's not orthogonal to what I said initially. But it's
right.
That should have, which is what I am not always good at articulating, but it should be, it should allow for a more capacious kind of understanding of concrete material benefits for working people, because I could not demand that in a kind of semi-nationalistic way. I could not demand that for people in the US when that is being done on the backs of like children in the Congo. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it kind of has to be more expansive and capacious.
Yeah. And to be clear, like you said, you went to Howard, but like a lot of libs come out of Howard too, and conservatives too. Like,
lower your voice. These people, I love. No, don't lower your voice. I'm being ridiculous. I'm being dramatic. Yeah, absolutely. You're exactly correct. And I mean, many of these people I went to school with, and I mean, I know and love them, but Howard is it's everything. It's like it's everything.
I like to think of people like that as on a journey. So like
politics,
they're halfway.
No, that's in the best case scenario. Some of them, but some of them, like, this is their shit. Like, I am a proud third way Democrat. Kamala is my queen. She can do no wrong. And I'm just like, we were sitting in the same classes. I'm a little confused about how that happens, but it happens. And I mean, God bless. I mean, it's a little, it's a lot, but you know, it's a lot, but I'm not on that side of things, because I was at one point, but I've since.
Look, politics is a journey. Like Robert was saying, politics is a journey. Nobody is ever. I was actually kind of having this conversation with. So Dan Simpson from Kenzo's show was on the show this morning, and we had a great conversation. And like one of the things that sort of kind of came through in that is that like everybody, to some extent, is like there's no final like developed like perfect form, and nobody ever has like perfect like politics or positions or anything like that. So I guess like the thing that I sort of think of is how, and I would think this because I'm a fucking teacher, right? But like how do you create a space that's safe for people to share about themselves, and like how do you sort of like have the honesty with that group that one, they know where you're coming from. Two, the like sensitiveness to like not judge them based on where they're at, and then three, sort of like how do we develop from here? You know what I mean?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, I think the beauty of that's that does sound like obnoxious and not to unnecessarily plug myself.
Go for it. You can't sound more obnoxious than me.
Yeah, I think the beauty of like how I like the intention that I sit down with people with when I interview them is that I'm not doing it with an agenda. The only thing I'm concerned with is like understanding what it is that you're trying to communicate, and understanding what it is that you're trying to express or relive or recreate for me. And I do, and even with people, even with some of my terrible like Libby, alumni, classmates, and friends, or what, who are Black, which makes some of their position. Like I have one dear friend from high school, Nigerian guy, and he like, I think at this point he's trolling me, which is fine because that's why else would you do this? But like, he was trying to have like a very unironic discussion with me about how capitalism is it's not perfect, but it is the best system we have for blah blah blah. And I was just like, what? And and at this point, I think this might have been like right after a lot of the uprisings of the post Floyd era. So I wasn't having it, and I just like went off. I hit the roof because you know better. You know better, and stop, please.
Well, here's the thing. Does he really know better though? Because like,
no, he knows. I'm not.
Here's the thing though. He might know better, but has he experienced it? Because I think what happens with people like that is, and it's it can be any race, but since we're talking about Black people and we're talking about Howard right now, they think that
he didn't go to Howard for undergrad, but he did take some classes there. But
but just people like him, people like the hustle culture, the grind culture, they think that if they check all the boxes that American Western capitalism tells them to check, they'll never catch the wake up call, and then they'll catch it one day. It'll find them. It'll find them, and when they do.
Go ahead.
They'll see how they react to it. Because I have a buddy from high school. He went to FAM. He's queer, and he went to FAM.
Yeah.
He caught it. He caught the wake up call.
Yeah, he got that fade.
And then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, burn it all down." And I'm like, "Welcome to team, bro."
Right. Well, welcome, friend. Where you been at?
Yeah. I mean, Malcolm X said that some people need to feel the beast breathe on their neck before they'll get it.
Yeah. No, I think that is what you're describing, that dynamic or that progression to a wake-up call. I think that's certainly the case for some people, but I think for other people, and I can only speak anecdotally about the people that like I know I'm in community with, I'm friends with. I think that particularly for males, there's another thing happening where like, once you get to a certain age in life, stage in life, maybe you just got married, you just had a baby, or you're thinking about doing all of this, there's almost this kind of like reverting to the mean for what it means to be a man. Like I'm now trying to step into how society confers respect and acknowledgement of men. So I have to revert to my understanding of what that means. And that means, there's nothing that's going to stop me. I'm making money, and this is what, this is the payoff for hard work, because there's a socially gendered thing also happening that is almost there's a word I'm looking for, but
I wasn't listening though. But did you say that was a Black thing? Like
I don't think that's just. I don't think that's.
I was about to say if that is what you were saying, that would.
No. I'm just saying that I'm thinking of several of my friends. that has happened to, and I don't think that that's exclusively. That's absolutely not a Black thing. I'm thinking of that in particular. But it's weird. But even with what the original point I was trying to make was that even with he's still a dear friend of mine, even though he's very concerned at this moment. Because I know him in real life, like when we go at it, it's still like all love at the end of it. But you lose that, like you lose that when like communication is mediated solely through like platforms and you don't actually get to know the person. So, and that's not, there's something I like grieve about that we don't get, because the goal isn't always for us to come to the same conclusion. We can still be, galaxies apart in terms of our understanding, in terms of our analysis, in terms of our conclusion. That's fine. But we lose the opportunity to just like understand how you got there, or the why of why you're thinking this way, with a lot of platforms. And I mean, not to sound like an old codger, but
no.
Luddites.
So let's put it like this: like a sort of like layer of humanity and human is lost.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's you might be able to reach 100, 1,000 times
right.
the number of people than you were face to face or with phones.
Yeah.
Well,
but
like I think I've
humanity that's removed, not just from people that you've never spoken to,
right?
And
but I've seen people who know each other, like in real life,
right.
start to
one another through these media, right?
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know, maybe you guys would have moved apart anyway because of, I don't know, how different a people you each have become. But I think, but that kind of makes me sad that we, like, everything gets like flattened into something that's like consequential when it's absolutely not necessarily consequential. Like when we have like technology kind of trying to mediate understanding. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's just, my personal thing is it's a very like tricky wicket. Like you have to make a judgment call. So if you're on those platforms, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, you have to make a very quick judgment of if I'm engaging with this person, are they acting in good faith?
Correct.
Should I act in good faith because
Correct.
I feel that they acted in good faith?
Right.
Or are they trying to be the loudest person in the room? Because if they're trying to be the loudest person in the room with nonsense, I'm not going to let you control that space.
Correct.
Because it's not about you at that point. It's about the people who are who read or listen to you and just go, well, nobody's challenging this. It must be correct.
Right.
I'm like, no, we're not doing that.
Right. But then it's also, I mean, I don't know. I much prefer, like, and maybe this is just my own personality or whatever, but I much prefer like lurking on social media, lurking and observing and not participating, because I like, sometimes I can forget that like this isn't real. Like it's real in that like it's on my phone, I see it, like I can see that people are interacting with it. But whenever I find myself doing a deep exegesis on what Dick Boy 69 says about God, whatever. It's just like, Janelle, what? We could be reading a book right now. We could be clipping our toenails. This is not worthy of such like exertion and like interrogation. It's Twitter. Just read it and move on.
Yeah, some people just aren't built for it, The poster
and that's
life.
Me. I'm raising my hand.
The poster life.
I'm not built for it. Mm-mm.
Posting. I didn't choose to be a poster. Posting chose me.
Y'all can have it. I lurk.
I think that in Janelle's case, probably posting and she came to an understanding. And it's like, we're not cut out for one another.
We're not. We're just not doing that.
Yeah.
Good for you. You're a better person than me.
Oh God. Mm-hmm.
So you're from the West Coast originally? You like from?
No. Do I look crazy? I am originally from DC. I've lived in California for 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Where in DC?
So I grew up in Northeast until we moved to the suburbs. We moved to Silver Spring. Silver Spring, which is like right outside of DC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. And what kind of stuff were you into?
What? One more time?
What kind of stuff were you into when you were a kid? Like what kind of like?
I've always been like a question asker. Like I've always been me. Like I've always been a goof, a smart ass, way too like inquisitive. Like all that's always been me my entire life. But I don't know. I've from a young age, which is age inappropriate because like what I've always liked like cooking shows. Like, do you remember on? No, because you probably had a normal childhood. There were a couple of
don't assume that, please.
Like before Food Network was like a thing, there used to be like Saturday cooking shows on PBS, like Yan Can Cook, and Justin Wilson, and
I got Justin Wilson the fuck out there.
Yeah, he was on PBS. Yeah,
Louisiana. So I mean, like he was like just a couple hours.
Bro, we used to have Paul Prudhomme on like PBS too.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
You don't have cable and you're poor. Like that's what's on TV.
I didn't realize Justin Wilson was like that far brought out of here.
Oh yeah, he got syndicated. I love Justin Wilson. Justin Wilson, Martin Yan, Jacques Pepin, the old kind of sort of French lady, the Hunchback. What's her name?
Julia Childs.
Yes, Julia Childs.
A spy.
What'd you say?
She was a spy. That's the most interesting thing about her. She worked for the OSS, which is the precursor of the Office of Strategic Service. It's the precursor for the CIA, and she used to like spy on Germans and spy on Nazis. Yeah,
I had no idea, but I loved her. But I loved cooking shows growing up.
Yeah, do you like to cook?
Yeah, sure do.
What kind of stuff like
I cook. I got that wrist. We can do whatever. So I can cook anything. But steak is my specialty.
Oh, steaks. Oh, nice.
That's right.
So what was like? I don't know. Like, if I get like too personal or whatever, let me know.
No, fine, please.
What's school like for you? Like, what kind of kid were you? Like a nerd? Were you like a smart kid? Were you like kind of a cool kid? Like whatever.
Yeah, I was like a confluence of all those things. I was a very good student. I've always been a good student.
Did you do sports?
Huh?
Did you do sports or were you a jock?
Yeah, I did. I played sports. I wasn't great at them, but
that's me too.
Yeah, I played. I started playing basketball because I've been in Amazon since like kindergarten. So like everyone was just like, yeah, you need to start playing basketball. I was like, okay, that's fine. I was terrible at it, but I played. I played basketball. I played softball. I was a great student. I was a great student. But I think how we understand like nerds today. I think I was a nerd, but I was a cool kid. So it wasn't like I didn't get like
nobody actually fits like into these like like these neat tidy like
it's not it's like it's these are kind of flexible
like speaking for myself, like I was like a band kid.
Oh, right on. What did you play?
Clarinet, actually.
Oh, okay. All right. You were one of those.
My clarinet actually survived Hurricane Katrina, surprisingly. Anyway, it was upstairs, not downstairs.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
But anyway, so yeah, I was like in the band. I was like last string in football. And, like I was hanging with like the mid-tier cool kids, like in the midst. Like that was it for me.
Right on. Yeah, I played the violin also, and I played the clarinet for a hot second. Softball, basketball. I thought I don't know why I thought this, but at some point in high school, I thought I was just naturally going to be a good volleyball player. Mm-hmm. Spoiler alert!
A lot of volleyball players are tall. How tall are you, by the way?
5'8". Yeah. So yeah. But I had a pretty well-rounded, not collegiate. What's the word on the sport? Scholastic and athletic kind of childhood. Yeah.
What was your first job?
Oh yeah.
What happened?
What was your first job?
My first job that I got like a W-2 for?
Like ever you did. I'm not worried about your W-2s.
Oh, well, my first what do you call it? Unofficial job was like a babysitter, but the first job I got like a W-2 for was a lifeguard.
What? You were a lifeguard? No
I was a lifeguard. That's right. That was like the only because I was super pressed to like start like have a summer job as soon as I could. There were only a couple jobs you could get with like a worker's permit or a student whatever it's called, and the lifeguard was one of them. So that was like, all right, we're gonna do it. And I remember I negotiated like a high hourly rate. So I got a whopping $6.95. And like when other like other people who were like older than me, because I was like 14 or 15, like found out how much I was getting paid. They were like, what? Most people were getting like $5.15, $5.50, and I was,
oh my God.
And I felt like rich.
I remember my first job ever was $5.15 for an hour. We were probably around the same age, I guess. But my first job was at Burger King, for $5.15. It's the worst job. But
you're old.
It sounds like I'd rather be a lifeguard, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah.
Are you a strong swimmer, or are you just kind of like pull the wool over their eyes?
No. I was a good swimmer because I was like I was also at that point in my life becoming a certified like scuba diver. So I was a very good swimmer. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
You are getting all the deep cuts right now.
I can stop.
No, you're fine.
I was gonna say, what was going to Howard like? Because my wife did an internship in DC, and she said like y'all, huh?
Is she a therapist?
Yeah, she's a social worker.
Yeah, okay,
close enough. Yeah. But she said that y'all were the reason that she was terrified to go to brunch on Sunday because she's like, I can't look that good. Like all them Howard girls, they go out drinking mimosas and eating eggs, and they just look like 11. She's like, I'm hungover. It's like I'll just stay in my apartment. You know.
Oh God, yeah. I think going to Howard was really interesting. To your wife's point, people people think when people meet people from Howard and they say this, people assume that we're exaggerating, but you will not find as many good-looking people in one place as you will on Howard's campus. Like me and like one of my best friends from Howard, we used to sit on the yard and just sit there, just like watch people walk, and just like, why are you here? People who look like you don't need an education, just like go be a model. You're wasting money? Go home. Incredibly good looking people.
Why is that the case? Why is there so many good looking people?
I don't know. Personally, a lot of people joke that like a part of the admissions criteria is to like send.
You gotta pass a couple of like.
You gotta look really nice. It was a wonderful experience. If I could go back and do it all over again, I'd absolutely go to Howard. I think that personally, I think that like the real like purpose of an HBCU is to like put the Black child back together again before they like get sent out in the world. So
right,
and I wasn't even particularly fractured because I had a wonderful, extremely Black childhood, that was just wonderful and nurturing and amazing. But even with that, there are things that are what's the word I'm looking for? That aren't understood in a way that like helps you understand like, oh, I'm not crazy, or oh, that thing that my grandma does isn't weird. Like that's just a Black thing, and it's done because of this. So if I could do it all over again, I would have gone to Howard a million times for undergrad, and it was great. Like you meet everyone, you meet all types of every single possible cross section of the Black world you meet at Howard, and that's cool. Where you learn tolerance because you got the intense denizens of Power Hall, and then you've also got the very dramatic actors and dancers and fine arts that are like completely artistic, or just everything. So it was great. It was
What's the big sorority on campus? AKAs?
all of them are big because like the Howard. That's like.
I guess so. Yeah. Let me stop.
They're all
I
like,
get knifed.
No. I didn't pledge, but like Howard is like the alpha chapter of a lot of the like Black Greek organizations. So that's an extremely intense part of undergrad life. Is if you're going to pledge and the whole hate, it's just it's too much for me. Like, no, thank you. But I have, dear friends who pledged, and it's like, go girl. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna get you a gift, but don't I ain't writing a term paper. Just do
so
you.
When you went to the West Coast, what brought you out there?
I moved to California. Someone's going to be able to write an autobiography of me after this is done. I don't know. You're fine. I'm getting a taste of my own medicine. I do this to 500 people a week.
Turn it around on you.
Yeah, that's right. It's only fair. I moved out to California from Atlanta. I was in Atlanta for like 6 or 7 years. I moved out there for work, which is, we're going to put an asterisk by that because I didn't actually have a job when I moved out to San Francisco. I went out there without a job because I'm insane. And I ended up landing at, one of the big tech companies and was able to not be broke. Huh?
A big what?
One of the big tech companies.
Oh, okay.
Where I ended up landing, but I moved out there without a job. And like some friends of mine from Atlanta who had previously moved out there, like put me up for a while until I was able to like find a job and like pay them rent. So
good friends. That's
very good friends. They're very wonderful to me. So yeah.
Cool. So you had a question, Robert?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to scoot back over to your HBCU experience.
Scoot it.
Did you just real quick because I didn't graduate college, and I went to University of Cincinnati for a bit, but I didn't graduate college. Did you remember? It might have been a year, maybe 2 years ago. I mean, probably more like 2 years. There was some white lady who she got accepted. I think it was even to Howard. And she was just like, I can't wait to go. I'm going to learn all about Black girl magic. And this is just going to be a transformative experience. And she was just getting drugged to shit. Do you remember this at all?
No.
Well, my take was like, everybody was like, well, dragging her, like, oh my God. Like, and I was just like, let her go. I was like, let her be, because hopefully she's going to get some good friends that are going to check her. You know what I mean? Like, girl, like, it don't work. Like, she's going to find out. She's going to find out that people are petty no matter what their skin color is, no matter where you go on earth.
But she's also going to have to, I don't remember the story, but
I know.
But I'm saying she would also quickly learn that like, you can't, like there are people who are not Black that go to HBCUs. Don't be goofy about it. Don't come there and like fetishize the environment and the people, like just chill the fuck out. Meet people, get to know people, do your work, and chill the fuck out. This isn't like you're not a, Daryl Hannah or whatever the fuck that lady is, the woman who like lives in nature, just observing the elephant. You know what I mean? Like just
Jane Goodall.
Yeah, you're not Jane fucking Goodall. Take a breath.
That's a terrible analogy.
I mean, it is.
We'll take it.
But it's kind of apt because that's kind of how some of this.
Very on the nose.
Yeah, that's kind of how this type of white woman is. Like, calm down. You're not on safari. Just
right. I just wonder, like, with a person, like, did you run into any people like that? Like, it's not a thing that she got accepted to HBCU. Happens all day, every day. That's not the thing. Is like you said, she's being so extra about it.
Yeah, but when I was in undergrad, this was pre, what social media is now. So there wasn't a market or an audience for that sort of goofiness. So no, the white, I didn't get to know any of the white people who were there. Okay. While I was there, but I have friends who like, there's this one white guy who looked like a white Jesus who was like in the gospel choir and, but he was, and I didn't know him, but I had friends who were in the gospel choir and they're like, oh yeah, he's super cool. Like he's fine. Like he just knew how to just be there and
just be normal.
Just be normal. That's it. Nobody's asking for any of your extra. Just chill it on out.
So true.
Yeah.
So I guess just to talk about maybe some of the things that like kind of brought you to the left sort of generally, like what was
that's interesting.
some specific things for you that you think like made you? Could you describe yourself as leftist? I mean,
yeah. I think just so that's a fun question. Let's think about that. So interestingly, so like I moved to San Francisco, like I said, in January of 2016. That was so when I moved there, you know, the primary campaign for Democrats and Republicans was happening then, but I was really distracted for, I'd say, from like January to like June, because I was just on a frantic job search. Like it, you know, that can just take up all of your time, just like networking and going to this event and applying and prepping for interview. It just can take over your life, especially in tech. So I wasn't really like keyed in to things until kind of like almost it was like the primary campaign was kind of like winding down, or, you know, it was very clear what was happening, you know, and they were, you know, crowning Hillary as the inevitable nominee. And when I started paying attention again and kind of just like catching up on like everything that had happened, it was like, this doesn't make sense anymore. And around that time,
what do you mean? I'm sorry, I don't mean to like interrupt, but like,
no,
what do you mean?
Like this, it doesn't. I think what I was thinking at the time is like, it doesn't make sense that this person who she was running against at the time was, you know, Bernie Sanders. This person who is speaking like plain English with like common sense policies and explanations of why people need these things. And the money, he had gained some momentum in terms of like fundraising, you know, was like bringing in a lot of money, but it's like something's not right here, and it doesn't make sense that like he's not really getting any coverage. Like everyone's kind of, the mainstream media is like ignoring him, and we're acting like Hillary is just, you know, just without blemish, without any fault, you know, above interrogation of like, you know, her place in the polity, and like, you know, also like we're not even really taking her to task for the open corruption through the Clinton Foundation. Just like something's not right here. And kind of around, I guess it had to be late primary time, like going into the convention, which was really nasty. I discovered Naked Capitalism, which became my Bible, and still my Bible every day. Read that thing, and that kind of helped me connect the dots.
What's her name? The main like editor. Eve
Smith.
Eve Smith. Yeah. She's great. I like.
Yeah, she's the shit. I met her. She obviously prior to COVID, she used to do like meetups for the Naked Capitalism readership. Like she would go like around the country. So I met her, I think in 2017 and 2018 when she came to San Francisco for a meetup, and she's great. She's just as feisty in person as she is moderating the site. But when I discovered Naked Capitalism, that helped like connect the dots and help me with the language of like why this seems fucked up, and like because you get a broader view of things, because, you know, they're pulling in stories from, you know, not just the New York Times or Washington Post or CNN or whatever, you know, they're pulling in stories from all over the place, and like the commentary, especially with Water Cooler, it's just that really helped me, and like I was ruined from that point.
You know what I really like, and just to like plug, like to give a little shine to Naked Capitalism, like one of the things that I like, at least, you know, when I read it, it was years ago. I don't keep up with it like I used to, but like they wrote about these things that you're talking about in very like in like sort of alarmingly dry terms. They were not particularly hyperbolic. They're just giving you a lot of like straight up facts, which is like extremely helpful, because like the very first thing when you say like half the shit that's real that capitalism does, people are like, you're crazy. You're just a, you know, like completely an utterly foolish person,
right.
You know, emotional or dramatic or whatever the fuck. And like, try to dismiss you. And like the thing about naked capitalism, that particular website, is it's very, very straightforward with like facts
and receipts. Like receipts, and you know how like a lot of what we are presented with. I'm sorry, Robert, are we boring you?
No, I just
okay. I want eyes up on.
I am doing work things.
Yeah.
When I say work things, I mean podcast things.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Oh, sorry. I mean,
I can multitask.
I'll wait.
Good
Lord. I'll wait. You let me know when you're ready.
Go.
Okay. Super.
You wrong.
Wrong
for that.
You know what? The first meetup I went to, the first naked capitalism meetup I went to was in 2016 because I met this guy. I'll never forget his face. I never forget anybody's face, but I'll never forget. Like we were chatting and we were talking about the election coming. Like just like this is insane, right? Like are we really about to have to, supposed to like choose between like Hillary and Donald Trump? And he was just like, you know what? I decided this year, and this is my first time doing this. He's like, I'm not playing ball. I will vote down ballot. I'm leaving top of the ticket blank because this is absurd. And I'm not going to be manipulated into making a choice between these two. I'm not doing it. And I was just like, yeah, I'm not doing it. Right on, man. That's right. I'm not doing it. But then like 2020 was like, hold my beer. Like it's going to get more absurd, but fine.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I remember I voted for Jill Stein for very similar reasons. And like I got I don't give a shit about Jill Stein, but like just like the point was like this is bullshit that you're making.
Yeah, we also live in Louisiana. That was it was so easy for me to pull the trigger for Jill Stein.
Anyway,
I hate Jill Stein. I don't like her at all. But yeah, if I lived in Cincinnati though, I would have definitely voted for.
I could have voted for fucking
Hillary again if I'd have lived in Ohio.
Did either of you have this experience in 2016 where like you were almost convinced to vote for Hillary?
No.
Because I remember the only time I got close to like considering it was what's his name? Adolph Reed pinned that piece. Like,
we love Adolph Reed. We love Adolph Reed. He's the best.
Love him, yes. But like vote for the lying, corrupt warmongers important or something. I can't remember the exact title, but I read that and I was just like, fuck, really? Like, God, like, okay, I'm gonna think. But I was like, no, I'm still not like. But that was the only moment I considered it. Like,
I mean, the closest I got was I was a delegate for Sanders, like, and I actually got offered a job to run a Clinton campaign office.
No thanks.
And I was just like, these kids are gonna smell Bernie on me. I'm like, I'm not gonna influence. I was like, no. I'm like, I was all about telling other people they should vote for Hillary. Now I can tell you that. But I'm like, I live in Louisiana, so I'm not doing that bullshit.
Yeah. I was still
like, you live in Ohio? You better vote for Hillary.
I was still a registered voter in Georgia at the time, so I was still a Georgia voter. But even then, I was just like, yeah, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Fuck off. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing this. This is a false choice, and I'm opting out. Not that I'm aware that my one vote that's not tipping the balance. Either way, whatever. But that was my line in the sand, and I kept it. Didn't vote. I think I threw my vote to the Greens, top of the ticket in 2020, because at that point I was, I was a voter in California. It doesn't fucking matter anyway. Right. But I'm not doing it. I won't.
Well, the argument I never heard about this, and it should have been more. It's like that was such an absurd argument of when Trump won. It's like, oh, all these people that voted, didn't vote for Hillary because they were mad Bernie didn't win. That was the decide. I'm like, no. I was like, the Democratic Party are bad salesmen. Like, on what earth do like a guy who works commission sales, which I've done in my life, and like your sales numbers are down and you're not getting enough people to buy your garbage, will you tell your boss, well, it's obviously their fault?
Yeah, right, exactly.
It's obviously them. They're not buying it. So I mean, it can't be me. I'm just the sales guy.
Right.
No, this is on you to convince people to vote for you.
That's right.
Like you just don't get somebody to just get their vote. Yeah. Like you have to convince them to push the damn button.
That's right. And even though I wasn't a Hillary, and obviously a Trump person, like I was still convinced that she was going to win. I thought it was going to be close,
yeah.
right? I was just like, she's going to win. But do you remember at that point in 2016 when Matt Taibbi wrote that piece, like, if Dems run Hillary against Trump, we're looking at a President Trump. And at the moment he wrote that just seemed unfathomable.
Not to me.
You know who else did that too is our friend Nathan Robinson from Current Affairs did a similar.
Because he lives in New Orleans. He lives in the South.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
no.
And I also remember in 2016, it was after the convention. So, we knew who, the two, names were going to be. I was with a friend who was in the city for business, and we were like at the hotel bar. And, we started chatting up with some like old rich white guys who were there, whatever. And like these, and like one of them was in like environmental something or other. This other one was like maybe like a PE guy from New Orleans. It's from like New Orleans. Like he dealt with like oil and gas or whatever. Like these are people that if you were to just consume mainstream media, you would be led to think would, worst case scenario, like grit their teeth and like pull the lever for Hillary. But they hit the ceiling and read me chapter and verse how like they were being kind of they were trying to be kind of keep or temper like their kind of perspective on Trump, but just like, no, he's not, he's a buffoon, but Hillary, and they just like hit the roof. And it was in that moment I was like, oh fuck, this isn't gonna go how I'm being led to believe it's going to go, because these people should be representative of a base for her. And it was at that moment I was just like, oh fuck, things are actually real tight in the streets. Yeah,
that's a shaky motherfucking base.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. It was real bad.
Yeah.
I mean, and let's don't beat around the bush. Let's don't fuck around. Only reason Biden won is because of COVID. There's no COVID.
That's not the only reason. That's one of the big reasons. No, it wasn't just COVID, but the party was going to make sure he like it was COVID.
No. I mean against Trump, not the primary. I'm not talking about the primary.
Yeah.
I'm talking against Trump.
Yeah.
There's no COVID.
Yeah, Trump would have.
It's
a wash. Yeah. No, that's very clear. No COVID, no Biden. Correct. It was just a freak fluke.
Yep.
Once in a century that got, this brain-addled fucking senior who wears, I'm sure, like Velcro strap sneakers when no one's watching, like, to become president. It's absurd.
You mentioned our friend Adolph Reed. Adolph's been on the show a couple times.
Has he?
Yeah. Actually, funny story. He was, when I was back on the local labor council, the Greater Orleans AFL-CIO, just the kindness of coming out and doing a little history of New Orleans event for us. But we love Adolph around here.
I read everything he writes. He's
an influence. Like, when did you first like come across him? Like,
I think it was probably. It had to be either late 2015 or 2016 is when I started reading his stuff, probably through Naked Capitalism, because they link his stuff usually. But probably late 2015, early 20s, or mid 2016, but around that time.
Yeah, and he's always had sort of like these very, very sharp critiques of specifically identity politics, but like not just like, he doesn't like loathe identity politics because they're identity politics. He sort of like has a critique that they have a part to play in the sort of like Democratic Party system and how we sort of like, Obama, he called Obama in like 2003 or some crazy year.
Yeah.
He said that he was he sort of like fit the perfect bill. And
that's right.
Embodying that neoliberalism. I guess
he
talk about that a little bit.
What specifically do you want me to talk about?
I mean, that particular critique that Adolph rolls out.
No, I think it's a very necessary critique, because I think contemporarily how a lot of identity politics is articulated, it is done in such a way. Let me say that a different way.
Mm-hmm.
I think in our contemporary understanding, or how it's kind of like operationalized or weaponized identity politics, it's because there was a time when you could reasonably count on let's just say a Black politician who still lived in the community, amongst the community, was still faced with the same social, political, financial issues of, you know, their particular Black community. You could reasonably assume that they were aligned with the community from which they came, and that, you know, this was progress because now they are going to fight for me because they are me. So yeah. I think many people still kind of anchor on that assumption when those conditions are not as ever present now as they were, like maybe back in the Black Power phase, when, you know, like the Black mayors were coming to power in Detroit, Atlanta, DC, you know, all across the Midwest. There's a different there are different social, financial, political contexts out of which I'm talking about Black politicians. Many of them come now, not all of them, but many, that assumption has to be like interrogated and looked at when you have a person like, let's say, the current mayor of San Francisco, Mayor Breed, who black woman who grew up in public housing, was raised by her grandmother. She has a sister who I believe maybe, you know, had addiction problem, you know, whatever, that kind of classic salt of the earth, you know.
Yeah, makes you a real person.
Right. But this is this Black woman who, you know, came from that is the same Black woman who is effectively trying to destroy public housing in San Francisco, which is already whittled. You know, the Black population of San Francisco is already down to 3 or 4%. And, you know, that her opposition to helping, you know, the largely Black people who are in the same projects that she grew up in, you know, her trying to get rid of that because, you know, she's got money from developers in her pocket. It's like that is just a really salient example for me of like, you know, I can't just applaud you for being Black and ascending to this position when your policies are in direct opposition to Black people from the community you came from being able to live dignified lives, being able to remain housed. So I think that's why his critiques of
that hit really hard.
Politics were like really like need to be never ceasing, because we a lot of us, and not just Black people, a lot of, which is kind of like the like cynical part of it, like a lot of white people fall for identity politics, which is actually kind of the game. Like look at a Kamala Harris, you know, white people were like, you know, just
white identity politics are far more prevalent and far more dangerous than Black identity.
That's correct. That's correct.
Clear.
But that's how we got in Obama. Like that story was very digestible for a lot of
white.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it wasn't
about like the fucking like the monster fucking Klan people who are like doing racism. Is their identity politics is like white nationalism in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
You're probably right in the sense that like in terms of directness of a threat, it's probably less so, at least in the immediate sense. But as far as like their effectiveness, like out the politics, there's no question that it's dominant, it's hegemonic.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that's the power of Reed's critique, is that it forces us to incorporate class and class interests in, you know, a script when we're talking about ascriptive identities. Because if we were just to what's the word I'm looking for, like internalize the sort of the valor that we're supposed to assign to certain ascriptive identities, you know, we would never question a Caitlyn Jenner trying to become governor of California because she is trans. And because she is trans, that is supposed to mean XYZ things. Not that she is rich, not that she has a conservative, you know, ideology that is anti-working class, you know, but if you are vigilant about maintaining like a class lens to how you understand these descriptive identities, it helps to kind of bring things into a little bit more like a starker relief in terms to like help you understand like okay, but are they going to do what I need them to do? And what I need is XYZ. Who have they taken money from? Why? Did they grow up rich and they, don't have, they're not even aware that, this is an issue for these people. Like it forces us to like do both, and like race and class, or whatever the ascriptive identity is, and class, because that can help you like have a clearer understanding of like what you can expect.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Or what you should demand.
Right. And it's not to dismiss like identity entirely. I think that sort of perspective that we're talking about here is not unempathetic to that, but however, like I think the sort of striving is essentially finding commonality amongst all people whilst acknowledging the sort of like identity-based differences to some extent as well.
Sure, but it's also like but it also, I think it forces us to examine like why we imbue certain identities with certain like nobilities, and whether or not that's actually present in this individual who is a product of his or her or their context, circumstance, aspiration. Which
by the way, like sort of ascribing particular characteristics based off of like race is like literally racism.
Correct. It's like boomerang, right? Exactly. Right. We're hardening the thing that we need to unsettle and disrupt. Absolutely. But that's why I enjoy reading Adolph Reed, because he's very I think he's very precise in that manner of interrogation that is all too absent, I think, from our kind of like common understanding of how and why there's that impulse to like, imbue like nobility to just certain ascriptive identities absent any sort of like class analysis.
Yeah. I remember one time, not to like harp on it too long.
No.
We had him come talk with one of our things, and the first one of the questions he asked is like, what's the organization that represents more Black people, women in the United States than any other one? Mm-hmm. And it was the AFL-CIO. Makes perfect sense because it represents millions of workers, and
that's right.
Class, there is nothing on this planet that is more diverse than the working class, if you know what I mean.
Because that's the 99% of us. So it necessarily includes, various class strata. If you want to cleave, lower class, middle class, upper, whatever. I don't even know that that's necessarily useful, but also, the spectrum of gender and sexuality and, et cetera, because
they're all workers, they're all workers.
That's correct. That's right. That's right.
So I guess as we sort of, wind down a little bit.
Sure.
It's been really nice talking with you.
It's been great talking with you all, even though I'm boring Robert. That's fine.
Not boring me. I'm doing things.
That's fine. Are my feelings hurt? They are, but that's fine. Mm-hmm.
Robert, how dare you?
I'm the worst.
No. But anyway, I guess, bring up, what's left to do again. Talk a little bit more about that.
Sure. What's left to do is like 60 people's fourth favorite leftist podcast, and I couldn't be prouder to hold that place in some people's lives. We talk to people from all across the left, like everyday people that aren't, necessarily like, luminaries of the left, as well as, some luminaries, to just understand, their stories, their lives, and how that has helped them, how their lives and their stories have helped them arrive at a leftist politic. And I learn something new all the time. Like I went into this with the hypothesis that there's not like one silver bullet or one thing that is going to help us create the future that we want to inhabit. Like it will be, all of us finding a place in surrounding different issues or in different arenas, be it political or super political, or labor, or, just kind of loosely knit communal, I don't know, that is going to help us. Hey, Kenzo, that's going to help us create the future or futures we want to inhabit. And I've talked to, like, this week's episode was a guy named Marco. He's a Bernie alum from SoCal, and he is now working with the Board of Supervisors or City Council in San Diego. And the thing that he was working hardest on when we spoke a couple months ago was like actually getting kids out of cages. And San Diego is one of the places that they are taking unaccompanied minors out of ICE facilities and like properly caring for them there while they like work to try and reunite them with their families. So literally getting kids out of cages. There was in one of the unreleased ones so far is this woman, also SoCal. Her name is Lydia. She was a big member or a big organizer with Standing Rock and was like on the cover of Time a couple of years ago. There was one of my dear comrades from San Francisco. A lot of the early ones are people that I volunteered with, organized with in San Francisco. But like, she is a 71-year-old Latina, like, retired teacher, and talking with her about how early in her career, like, she was at a school where all the teachers, it was just a terrible situation in the school because the district was neglecting it, and how she got into labor politics as a teacher. There are
relatable to me.
Yeah, you would dig Winnie's story because she's insane and I love her. But
teacher's insane. But okay, I'd like her anyway.
She's feisty. She's good. There's a young lady, another SoCal person, who's like organizing issues like menstrual freedom. I didn't even know that was a thing, but it's like super right on. And like the way she articulates like the need to focus on this, particularly for incarcerated people, is really illuminating. Again, didn't know that was like a thing. I've talked to like actual politicians on those episodes. I have to like sit with myself in a corner, like, Janelle, don't curse too much. Don't embarrass this person. They are doing you a solid by sitting down with them. They're a real adult. They have people watching what they do. Just act like you have some sense. So like Jane Kim, Assembly Member Ash Kalra. I'm working on some more politicians like east of the Mississippi. Some more like California ones as well. What else? People who are still like technically immigrants here and can't vote, but are were very integral in like the Bernie campaign in terms of like organizing and helping us win California. But like, they're just you name it. And I've either talked to them already. Well, I can't even say you name it because it's not even finite. It's expansive. And I don't know, everyone's story is super interesting, and I feel very grateful and lucky to be able to do this work. Because I don't want to eat cat food for the rest of my life, I'll be like I'll start monetizing it later on this month. But it's been a joy to not get paid to do this work. I actually feel very grateful and lucky to be able to do that. And hopefully I will, continue to, be able to sit down and talk with super interesting people. I'll definitely be making a swing through New Orleans to Robert Gore as well as Jeff, and we'll just keep it going. But I think we're onto something there. It's really interesting.
Well, we can definitely let you use the facilities here too.
Yeah.
Hiya. There we go.
Well, where can we find it? It's on anywhere podcasts or.
It's like everywhere, I think, but Spotify. Like I use Sound, and I just haven't uploaded the feed to Spotify because they're not enough hours in the day. But SoundCloud, I mean, like I host it with SoundCloud, so you can get it on like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, like SoundCloud, like wherever. But it's called What's Left to Do, and I'll be getting the website. Knock on wood. I'll be getting the website set up soon. I'm one person. I wish I had an army of fellow workers that could help me get the million things done I need to get done. But I do what I can. But The website's coming soon, but what's left to do? You can catch us on, everywhere but Spotify. But at some point, we'll be on Spotify soon. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
Well, thanks so much. You said earlier. You said everybody's story is interesting, and yours is as well. So
yeah, thank you very much for having me on. This is such a pleasure. Anytime, just hit me up, and we'll make it happen.
Cool.
You can listen to Good Morning Comrade you can watch it on every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live. And also you can support our show by going to patreon.com/Good Morning Comrade. You can be like Ty Jitty, Michael H, Dan O, Jonathan H, Timothy C, Dragon Slayer 19, Andy L, Gary W, Rachel K, Kenneth F, Adam R, Trey M, and new subscriber, Watermelon Pickle.
Hi-oh.
When we get to 25 subscribers, I'm going to paint my nails. What color should I do them?
Silver.
Wow.
Yeah, silver metallic.
Why silver?
Because people need to be able to see it from a mile away. You need to shine.
There you go.
That's why I thought black, but maybe shiny can work.
Come on, don't be so derivative. Let's punch it up a notch.
You asked the question, you got your answer.
That's right.
I'm not complaining. I just want like little details, a little bit of explanation. I'm not complaining. Okay?
We need some shine for socialism. That's what we need.
There you go. Thanks so much, Janelle. Appreciate it.
No, thank you.
Thanks for everybody for watching. Love you. Bye.